Freeholder Granados. Here. Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski. Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Here.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Here.
And Chairman Jallo.
Here.
Chairman, you currently have 8 freeholders present.
Thank you. Clerk of the Board, can you please lead us in a prayer and salute to the flag?
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of the Board, can we please take note of the attendance of Freeholder Kowalski?
Duly noted.
Can you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
Chair wishes to announce that pursuant to requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2015 with the office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the communications?
So moved. Second.
It was moved by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Carter. Clerk of the Board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella. Aye. Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the meetings of October 2nd, 2014 through December 18th, 2014?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Hudak, seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Clerk of the Board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter.
Abstaining on November the 6th, 2014, yes to the rest.
Freeholder Estrada.
Abstaining on both the agenda and the regular meeting on November 25th, 2014, and yes for the rest.
Freeholder Granados.
Abstaining from October 16th and November 25th, double meetings, yes to the rest.
Freeholder Hudak.
I will abstain from the regular and agenda meetings on November the 25th, as well as the agenda meeting on December the 4th. Aye to the rest.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Abstain on October 2nd, yes to the rest.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman Jallo.
Aye to all.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative with the exception of Thursday, October 2nd, 2014, agenda meeting, 3 votes in the affirmative, 1 abstention.
Thank
Thursday, October 16th, 2014, agenda regular meeting, minutes, 8 votes in the affirmative, 1 abstention. Tuesday, November 25th, agenda meeting and regular meeting, 6 votes in the affirmative, 3 abstentions. And Thursday, December 4th, 2014, agenda meeting, 8 votes in the affirmative, with 1 abstention.
Thank you. We've come to the public comment portion, but prior to opening the meeting on public comments for the resolutions being offered for adoption, I'd like to call upon the 2015 Fiscal Chairman, Freeholder Hudak, to offer a few remarks relative to the 2015 budget.
Thank you, Chairman Jallo, and through you. Following the Fiscal Committee's review, we are set tonight to introduce the 2015 budget. The state of this year's budget reflects a broad-based recovery in Union County's economy and our success in setting goals, implementing policy, and continuing progress in all areas requiring attention. Since the county manager presented his executive budget in February, the fiscal committee was able to reduce the tax levy by an additional $820,000. This was done without any loss of jobs or impact on services. At the same time, this budget reflects the priorities of this Freeholder Board with a strong investment in education and recreation, while not forgetting those residents who most need our assistance and who suffered through the last recession. I'm speaking directly about our Department of Human Services, where we increased our social service investment to provide better services aimed at reducing wait times as well as processing applications. The overall result of our budgetary effort is a tax increase of just 2.51%, which is the lowest in a decade. Thanks to our strong fiscal management, the county's bond rating remains one of the highest attainable at AA1. A recent report from Moody's also cited the strength of our budget process while removing the negative outlook on our bond rating. It should also be noted that over the past several years, we've been able to boost our surplus accounts by 71%, which the ratings agency have also noted. And there is more good news in this budget to report, as we are announcing an exciting new matching grant opportunity for our municipalities, which wish to make infrastructure improvements where the state and federal governments have been lapsing in terms of aid. Through the Union County Infrastructure and Municipal Aid Grant Initiative, a total of $1.5 million have been added to the budget and will be made available to assist our municipalities to accomplish tasks undertaken in calendar year 2015. The funding will be provided through the proceeds of the sale of Runnels Hospital. The goal will be to stimulate the development of local public projects of social, economic, and governmental importance to local municipalities. Some examples of the projects eligible for this grant will be downtown development projects, economic development plans, large and small scale construction projects, community enhancement projects, master plans, feasibility studies, transportation plans, child care and senior center infrastructure projects, road work, including pothole repair and structural enhancements. With regard to the remainder of the proceeds from the sale of Runnels Hospital, this Freeholder Board will continue to follow a prudent path to avoid a one-shot approach, as some has suggested, creating a larger revenue shortfall in subsequent years. Besides the infrastructure grant announcement, a portion of the proceeds of the sale will be used to annually pay off Runnels' debt service, and the rest will remain in reserve, giving the board the option to reduce the tax burden moving forward in future years, and the ability to meet contingencies should it choose so. As this board has noted previously, the budget is now a year-round process as we continue to examine all revenue avenues for efficiencies. Following tonight's vote, we will hold a public hearing on the 2015 introduced budget at 6 p.m. prior to the Freeholder Board's regularly scheduled meeting on Thursday, May 14th. On Thursday, May 28th, the Freeholder Board is anticipated to adopt the final budget during its regular meeting. In closing, I would like to thank the members of the Fiscal Committee, Freeholders Mirabella, Estrada, and Granados. I'd like to thank our County Manager, Al Fiala, the Deputy County Manager, Bill Reyes, our Chief of Staff, Vicki Drake, and our department heads. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the Department of Finance Director, B.B. Taylor, and her staff for their outstanding efforts in this year's budget process. Chairman Jallo, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this point, the meeting is open for the public for the purpose of commenting on resolutions being offered for adoption only. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record, and the resolution to which you are referring to, and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening. Ooh,
Good evening.
I broke the microphone. I really did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Ravenel Williams. I reside in Somerset, New Jersey. But more important, I'm the director of the Plainfield YMCA. And I'm here to talk about Resolution 2015-311. The Plainfield Y has been running its homeless shelter at 518 Watchon Avenue since 1985. I've had the pleasure of being the director for 6 winters now. And I am seeing more and more situationally poor people coming through our doors. And when I say situationally poor, I mean people who are a victim of domestic violence, job loss, medical bills that they just can't pay, hardworking people that aren't making enough income to be able to afford a decent apartment. The people coming into my shelter are getting younger and younger, and I'm seeing more and more families with small children. And I look at these children and two things I say. The only difference between that child and me was my parents, and the only difference between that child, I'm going to get emotional here. I see these kids and it just breaks my heart. I'm happy that the Y is here for them, but to see these kids out in sub-zero weather, living out of their cars, we're happy that we can open our doors at the Y for these kids to come. And it's because of you, the freeholders, that we have this program called Code Blue. And I applaud the fact that it's a resolution come up to increase the level of Code Blue because of the demand that we had this winter. I applaud your empathy. I applaud your caring, and hope that this will pass tonight, because I see it getting worse and not better as the years go on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Morgan. I reside in Essex County, but also more importantly, I serve as the Deputy Director of Central Jersey Legal Services here in Elizabeth. I appear before you today to thank you, to truly thank you for what you've done in the innovative program that you have established here for the people of Union County, who, many by no fault of their own, simply have no place to stay, especially on the nights when it's especially cold. In particular, I'm referring to so many parents with children. It is to be noted that in 2014 and 2015 year, over 6,240 people were served. Of those, 1,720 were children. But for the Code Blue program, these very vulnerable people would be sleeping on the streets, train stations, cars, abandoned buildings. I thank you so much for what you have done in recognizing and helping these individuals, and I pray that you continue this program for years to come. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption only?
Good evening. My name is Linda Flores Tober, and I reside in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And I come not only as the Union County resident, but also as the co-chairperson of the CEASE Committee and as director of the Elizabeth Coalition to House the Homeless. Gandhi once said, "A nation's greatness is measured by how it treats its weakest members." Unknown to me has also been said by many others, including Aristotle and Jimmy Carter. And it seems that from time to time we need to be reminded of our responsibility to the common good. The folks who come into the offices of the agencies serving the poor and homeless are the most vulnerable, the weakest, and the very least of our brothers and sisters. They walk in with nothing, no hope, unwanted, no options, nowhere even to lay their head. Often they are told that they don't qualify, out of compliance, need more paperwork. And so then walk out into the harshest weather to sit in a Dunkin' Donuts, the emergency room, their car, or on a stone-cold step. This is no exaggeration. It's the reality of many people in New Jersey, but not Union County. Code Blue means life to those who come in. It's an opportunity for someone to see what can be done, a chance for their situation to turn around, and it's a night out of the elements. This winter was one of the worst we've seen in a long time, and certainly a long one. And it comes at a time when the economy is harsh as well. As you can see, this year's statistics, Code Blue served more families with children than ever. This was a whole new crowd of people struggling to survive. The lack of full-time jobs paying living wages and lack of affordable housing cannot be avoided. These results underscore the need and the solution. On behalf of the CEAS Committee and the Elizabeth Coalition to House the Homeless, I would like to express our appreciation of the willingness of the freeholders to meet the need of our weakest members without question. I can assure you that the CEAS Committee, together with the Department of Human Services, will be looking at the results of this winter season and considering how we can meet this need more efficiently and effectively. We have already begun the dialogue. In the meantime, know there is greatness in Union County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption? Kindly state your name, town of residence, and the resolution you are speaking to.
My name is Jeffrey Freeman. I reside in Rahway, Union County. I'm hoping that the freeholders might comment on resolutions 2015-319 and 2015-320, whether either of these resolutions specifically apply to the projected stadium project or track improvement project, whatever you wish to call it, in Rahway River Park, and in exactly what capacity, if so.
319, and what was the other number?
And 320.
320.
Chairman, through you, 319 is a engineer and environmental site investigation for open space, and 320 is for gas and electric open market, the ability to go to open market to buy electricity and gas for savings for the county.
Thank you. So specifically, the question was, does it apply to?
It does not.
Thank
Neither
you.
one does.
Anyone else wishing to comment on resolutions being offered for adoption?
John Berry of Kenilworth. It's only on 295, I guess it is, that Watchung Stables, Barn and Rings, privatization, authorized competitive contract. I saw the video of the last week's agenda meeting, and basically I have three questions. It was said that there would be a private company coming in to do the barn and rings, whatever that entails. So, and there would be no layoffs. So the first question is, where is the savings coming from if you're not going to lay off the people who were doing that job? If they're moving somewhere else, they're still going to be paid. How is this actually going to be any savings? And basically, what does that entail? The second one is, what is barn? Well, there are two sub-questions to that. What is it they're doing that you're going to be privatizing? I know nothing about stables, so what are barn and rings things, and how much does it cost to do that stuff? And the other thing is, at that agenda meeting, it was said that they'd be moved to other departments. Now, these people run a stable, and I guess they have skills, whatever you need to run a stable. What other place in the county? I mean, just thinking about things that you do around a stable. I mean, where else would they fit? I mean, it just seemed bizarre. I mean, and where they're fitting now, I mean, it seems like a make-work job somewhere else, because if you really needed them, why don't you hire someone now? So that's just a general question there. That's the only thing, just on 295.
Thank you very much. Director Zuber?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to answer, Director Zuber asked me to comment about the competitive contract nature. What this resolution does is that we're approving the method that we're going to go out to bid for this service. We haven't decided whether we're going to contract for it yet. And to answer the part of the question that was about how much it's going to cost, we wouldn't divulge what the estimate of what we think it's going to cost, and we wouldn't know what it was going to cost until the bids come in.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the individuals will be placed in other departments where there's openings. We have open positions.
Okay. What is the need to place, there's no need to place them at this time?
There's no need to place them at this time.
Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption? Anyone else?
Pat Machete, New Providence, good evening. I arrived late, so it might be a redundant question, but go for it anyway. 2015-300, page 2, resolution to exceed the county tax levy limit and to establish a cap bank. So the question is, we're going to exceed the limit by what percent, and what does that mean in dollars? 2015-301, on the bottom of page 2, the resolution introducing and improving the annual budget of the County of Union, fiscal year 2015. It just, out of curiosity, it's a financial number thing, but there's no numbers, which is a little odd, especially when the public doesn't know what the numbers are. Hopefully it's a downward direction from where you were a few months ago. And Chairman, if I can ask you to ask the county manager, in this budget, how many programs in 2014 are A, being eliminated, 2, being reduced, 3 are being consolidated, and 4 are going forward? And the reason I'm asking the question, not to be facetious or sarcastic or just to talk, is there's a general thing in the world of politics and government. If you look at some of the New York City or the New Jersey state programs, some of them go back 100+ years. And no one has the wherewithal to say, you know, it was good in 1912, but is it good in 2015? What should we do about this? And they're in the books. We can, examples over time. I imagine the same thing with the county. And so if you have, and then over time you have multiple programs that one comes from the left, and one comes from the right, one comes from the middle, and they have their leaders and they have their initiatives and they tend to get distorted and doing the same thing with like 3 different groups. So it needs someone who has a big picture say, hey, if we put these 3 together, we can do better with less. And we're talking millions of dollars in this program. A lady came here for Coalition of Homeless, a wonderful program. They need some more money. You guys have plenty of money to give to them if you do the right things. And again, I'll say it till I don't come here anymore. Every large organization, whether there's a profit organization, nonprofit, an extremely profitable organization, or people are losing money, you can find 5% of your total budget and streamline it and reduce it, either to reduce your debt, reduce it for the taxpayer, or put it to some more meaningful program than what we're doing today. It's a proven fact, yourself included. You're $500 million. 5% is $25 million. You could do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Director Taylor to come up and answer question 300 with regard to that matter. The remainder of the questions asked by the speaker were actually answered and given in a presentation by the fiscal chair. We may be able to get you some of that statement at a later date if you can answer this question, Director Taylor.
Through you, Chairman. First, good evening. Resolution 2015-300, speaking to the COLA. The COLA is specific to the 1977 cap. As a, forgive me, as a recap, counties have to actually test their levy between 2 levy caps, which is the 1977 and the 2010 cap. And by law, we have to use the more restrictive of the 2. The 2015 budget actually falls under the 2010 cap, so the COLA resolution, even though it's under the 1977, we're asking for you to approve it to provide for financial flexibility, just sound financial planning in prospective years in the event that there are unforeseen circumstances, we need to utilize the cap bank. But the resolution as it stands now does not utilize any of the increase that's outlined in this resolution.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Good evening, Chairman Jalla, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson Garwood. Yeah, on page 2, Mr. Berry was talking about number 295 near the top about barns and rings. This boggles my mind, the way the county thinks about finances, that they're going to transfer people over to other departments. It was Parks and Recreation, as I recall from the other meeting, and so the labor cost is not changing. There's no layoffs, and yet now you're going to privatize, possibly, and hire another company for more money. That just doesn't make sense. And this is why I'm here, always talking about finances. You guys are lost. 297. This is it Productions. You're giving $120,000 for Rhythm and Blues at Cedarbrook. $120,000. It looks like that's one event. $120,000. We're talking about Code Blue, where you bumped it up, and the homeless housing advocates were here. I mean, cut it in half. I mean, 120 is way too high, and give it to them. That makes sense. Number 300, that's the county tax limit and establishing the cap bank. I think you should vote no on that. Director Taylor's talking about flexibility, but you have $19 million in tax increases, and I'm going to talk about that later because you guys are basically lying to the public. But $19 million, there's plenty of financial flexibility. Vote no on this. And let me ask a question, hopefully she can answer. Is this actually two parts, exceeding the county tax levy and establishing a cap bank? And the cap bank is the one I'm asking for voting no. Number 301 at the bottom, that's the introducing and approving of the annual budget. I heard Freeholder Finance Chair Hudak and his statements. I'll be talking to that in the next public speaking meeting. Number 317, I see you're doing a resolution opposing the proposed Pilgrim pipeline. I have no comment, yes or no, on that, but it appears you like to do resolutions. Why don't you do one on Menendez? As a Democrat, I'm embarrassed and shocked at what Senator Menendez is going through, and he's a federal senator. You better do a resolution on that, asking him to step down. He's damaging the credibility of the United States and New Jersey, if that's even possible. Number 319 and 321, you're giving $25,000 at T&M on one, and $15,000 at T&M on the other. Just want to point out that T&M donates to the Freeholder campaigns and their cronies in the county, $94,000 in 4 years. Donated $16,000 to the Freeholder campaign in 1 year. Back to 319, that's Open Space Trust Fund. This is where your finances get wiggly. If it's Open Space Trust Fund, take it out of the Open Space Trust Fund grant. I don't know why it's coming out of the operating budget. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The last one, 324 on page 6. A contract to Neglia Associates for $85,000. I just want to point out that, again, he donated $19,000 to the Freeholder campaigns and their county cronies in 4 years. It seems like you should pass some kind of pay-to-play legislation to stop this, because it seems like you're giving contracts to them, and, of course, they're donating to your campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those comments. I only saw one question, so I'll ask the Director of Finance to come up and answer the one question about tax levy and capping.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. The COLA resolution authorizes the taxes to be increased up to $339,198,000. The budget as it's presented this evening actually calls for a tax increase of $335,283,323. If you were to back out the COLA resolution that's presented this evening, there's only of that original number that I referenced, the $339 million, if you back out just the 0.5% that is included in the COLA, because the other component, the 3% above what this resolution calls for, is not part of the calculation. You're reducing it by $1.1 million, bringing them, if you were to, so just to back out what we're allowed to go up to by what the resolution has already included, the 0.5%, we're down to $337 million, which is still not, again, we are not under the 1977 cap at this point in time. So those numbers, because that is higher, that $337 million maximum levy is higher than what we are raising, and it is greater than the 2010 cap, we can't use it. So essentially, this resolution is pro forma, it is prospective in the event that we need to build cap bank in a future year and/or utilize it. I can tell you that we had cap bank last year under the 1977 cap, and we did not use it in this current year because we don't qualify. We have to use the more restrictive cap between the 1977 cap and the 2010 cap. Again, in the 2015 budget, we are under the 2010 cap. So it is the more restrictive out of the two. I don't know how else to try and formulate it, but the numbers, the cap calculations are part of the introduced budget. It will be uploaded on the website so members of the public can see it, and it's clearly outlined how the calculations are derived.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on resolutions being offered for adoption?
Good evening. Scott Aruda from Clark, New Jersey. I don't have a question about a resolution, but I do have two comments.
Do you have a comment about a resolution?
Well, I have a comment
We
about the
accept
budget.
those as well.
I had a comment about the budget.
Okay, well, that is reference to a resolution. So
Okay. You know, I see the people here advocating for the homeless and people living in cars and trying to raise money for food and banks and things like that. I have a great suggestion for you. I can find you over $3 million in your budget. You can turn up like that, and that's to cancel the plan for the sports complex in Rahway Park. And this is something that the people of Union County don't want. That's all I want to say. And then with your comment about Neglia Associates or Neglia Engineering, it appears that they do have, we're given a contract.
Please address.
We're given a contract for the park to develop plans and specifications, everything else for $116,000 or $117,000 with contingencies that could go up to $200,000. So apparently they're a pretty successful engineering firm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to comment or ask questions about resolutions being offered for adoption? Seeing no one, I'll close that portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 2015-293 through 2015-358?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella. Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Abstain as to 2015-304, 308, and 310. Yes as to the remainder.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative, with the exception of resolutions 2015-304, 308, 310, where you have 8 votes in the affirmative with 1 abstention.
Thank you. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and adhere to the 5-minute time limit. Anyone?
Robert Carson, Rahway, New Jersey. I was here at the last regular meeting and asked questions and make statements about the stadium project for Rahway River Park. And we were told repeatedly that there are no contracts. Okay, well, I have some documents here that I obtained through the Open Public Records Act from Union County's Freeholder's office. And before I get to them, though, I would like to make a comment on this fact sheet that's being handed or made available in the back of the room. Number 1 says, the project is not a full stadium. It is an upgrade of an existing track and field. It's quite an upgrade. It will include lighting, sound and scoreboards, 3 buildings, and seats, plus a chain link fence, which some say is 4 feet high, others say is 6. It also goes on to say the city of Rahway has proposed installing standard aluminum bleachers to seat up to 1,200 persons, not 5,200. Well, the city of Rahway is not really proposing this. It's in contract. And this document seems to be written by a public relations person who's trying to make an unpopular project more acceptable. It mentions that there are already bleachers at the baseball and softball fields in the park. There are bleachers there, but they're the kind of bleachers that hold about a few dozen people each. So it's nothing like what's proposed for the field. It says a 4-foot chain link fence will go around the track. Well, the contract I have says 6 foot. And they mentioned that the purpose of this is to keep motorized vehicles off the track. Well, I often practice soccer in that park, and I have never seen even a bicycle on that track. There's a sign there asking people to stay off the track with any kind of improper materials and vehicles, and I've never seen anybody violate that proposal. Okay, so, but to speak to the contract question, this is a document from July 12th, 2011, and it's to the Neglia Engineering Associates. And it says it's a contract, as Mr. Arruda mentioned, for $116,000. And it's quoting the document, it says dates of contract. So there were contracts dating back to 2011. There's another shared services agreement, which is dated September 24th, 2014. And it goes on to list all of the stipulations of the agreement, and it is between the Union County and Rahway. And then there's another document that is dealing with, it's from Ronald Zuber, to Ronald Zuber, the parks manager, and it talks about the contract obligations, and it says bleachers for 5,000 people, press box, teen pavilion, bathrooms, concessions, sanitary sewer connections, sound and scoreboard. And this is dated September 29th, 2014. Okay, I recently went to Rahway, where I live, and put in another OPRA request for material related to this project, and they are now overdue. They have not answered the questions. I would like somebody on the Freeholder board to speak to the question of why is it so difficult to get information about these things. This is something that's going to affect Rahway far into the future. And people have a right to know what is being proposed for this expenditure of their tax dollars. And why is it so difficult? You told us at the last meeting there are no contracts, and there are obviously contracts dating back to 2011. So I'd like somebody to address that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those contracts that you're referencing, if you can apply a copy to our clerk, I'd certainly like to look at it. It sounds to me that those are shared services agreements with the city of Rahway, not construction agreements, which is what you referenced last meeting, which the speaker referenced last time. Those are construction contracts. Those can't begin until there's a formal vote by the Freeholder Board, which has not occurred at this time. Those contracts cannot be entered into by the county manager without the approval of the Freeholder Board. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time?
Again, I'm Jeff Freeman. I live in Rahway, New Jersey. The contracts, or what you may call them, that Mr. Carson has there, which I've seen, mention lighting for the stadium. You don't have to call it a stadium if you don't want to, but lighting is certainly part of the proposals. It's very well known that outdoor nighttime lights are severely disruptive to birds and other wildlife, to the growth of trees and other plants. They just throw their diurnal clocks, which are very necessary to their growth and their coordination with other wildlife and other plants, totally off. They're also the little bit of the beautiful night sky that we can still see from polluted and light polluted New Jersey will be further blacked out. There'll be tremendous impacts of these lights on local households, which will bring down the property value and make it very difficult to enjoy being outdoors or even not have light come floating into your house. So the question then is, there are now standards for lighting to reduce the impact. I'm not saying I want it. I'm totally against this plan. It's very disruptive in many, many ways. The littering, the crowds, the traffic, and it is absurd that no plan is made for parking, because there's no way you can accommodate all those cars that would put the stadium in. But even so, if there is to be lighting, what are the specifics of the design to reduce the impact on the sky, to keep the lights down? What are the specifics to keep the lights from flooding out of the park all around? What is the maximum number of nights that's expected that there will be night events that will use these lights? What's the maximum total amount of illumination from all these lights? All of these questions are absolutely vital. I don't know that any consideration has been given to this by Rahway or the county, and I want these questions answered.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening, Chairman, board members, citizens. I'm here on behalf of the last issue that I brought forth on the record for the record, March 26, in regards to the miscellaneous record of filing for the manumission of slaves. I know that it was said that you would reach out to the county clerk in regards to this matter. I'm here to find out, was there any response in regards to that matter. Also, I had the opportunity to reach out myself to County Clerk Elaine Flinch. And as I reached out to her today in regards to this miscellaneous filing, the language in which she used was kind of strange to me, because I want to read it for the record, because it's perfect for today in regards to the miscellaneous filing.
Who were you referencing?
The Elaine Flinch, who is the county clerk from Middlesex County. Elaine
Essex
Flinch.
County?
And no, Middlesex County, Elaine Flinch.
Middlesex County?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Right. This is the letter I sent to her on April 10th, 2015. Said, my name is Clifford Jefferson, Albay. I'm emailing you in regards of the miscellaneous filing. We have been attempting to file our documents in the county records recorders, but to none avail. We have been turned away in filing our proclamation documents in regards to the manumission of slave documents. Please give me a call or email in regards to this matter. Thank you very much. This is the email I received back from her. This is not from her, but this is from the deputy clerk. It says, Dear Sir, we are in receipt of your communication of April 10th, 2015 below. Please be advised that there is no statutory basis nor legal authority for the county clerk to record the documents such as those that you are mentioned in your message below. I have a problem with that, because I have here a copy of the New Jersey Department of State with off the internet 4/17/2015, and with Governor Chris Christie, as well as Lieutenant Governor Kim Cadrago, in regards to records relating to the slaves and the children of slaves, which have indexes. The different 21 counties within the state of New Jersey has manumission filings of slaves, birth certificate of children of slaves, manumission of slaves, deeds of slaves. So going back to 1804 to 1841. So it can clearly see that there is a filing here. Also on the actual same webpage I have here, it says that the county clerk was required by law to record slave manumission freedom papers. Beginning in 1786, the Act for the Gradual Abolition of Slavery in 1804 was required by the recording of births of children of slave mothers. So the reason why I'm bringing forth this is because Act 6 of our divine Constitution and bylaw says we must proclaim our free national name. We are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted up to 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a new time and era, and we all must proclaim our free national name. According to the Free National Constitution, which is the Republic, which we all took oath to when we opened up this public meeting. So my question here today is that why is, if the county clerk is a constitutional office, she's obligated by her office, her oath or affirmation. So if she's making reference to statutory law, that's unconstitutional. And this language is not privy to the form in which we are in. So I'm here to see if we can find a resolution to get the answer in regards to the miscellaneous and recording for the record, recording of slaves, which is privy to us because we are still considered Negroes, blacks, colors in Ethiopia to this day. And according to law, you can't be black because black represents an adjective describing who we are. So we need to deal with this problem because we are continuing to be injured, and we had a relationship with the county clerk for over 100 years now. Now it's been severed. So we want to know why. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Freeholders. My name is Ruth Nicholas, and I live in Cranford. I'm actually a team member of the Coalition to Save Historic Rahway River Park. And I have prepared a short statement about Rahway River Park's Olmsted design, which I would like to read out. It seems to me that a division has been made in your minds between the open space areas and the developed areas of sport recreation in our park. It's as if you believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that these developed areas are completely separate from the open spaces in the park and that they therefore do not apply to the Olmsted ideology. I have in my hands an historic American engineering record that states the Olmsted brothers' work included the original design for the football field and track, a number of the tennis courts, a mall area, and various planted trees, which to me says these developed areas are all inclusive in the Olmsted design ideology. Therefore, any upgrades you do on the current footprint should take these theories into consideration. And by my estimation, a state-of-the-art 1,200-seat, regulation-sized track and football stadium does not comply with the intended Olmsted design. And just to give you an example of how Olmsted envisioned his park designs and his intention for the scenery, here are a couple of excerpts I pulled from the olmsted.org website, beginning with a quote from Frederick Law Olmsted. "The root of all my good work is an early respect for, regard, and enjoyment of scenery." Olmsted used the pastoral style to create a sense of the peacefulness of nature and to soothe and restore the spirit. This style was the basic mode of Olmsted's park designs, which he intended to serve as a setting for unconscious or indirect recreation. Scenery, Olmsted decided, worked by an unconscious process to produce relaxing and unbending of faculties made tense by the strain of noise and artificial soundings of urban life. The necessary condition for such an experience was the absence of distractions and demands on the conscious mind. The effect came not as a result of examination, analysis, or comparison, nor of appreciation of particular parts of the scene. Rather, it came in such a way that the viewer was unaware of its workings. So all I am asking is that you respect the Olmsted ideology intended for Rahway River Park as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment?
My name is Susan Salamak. I've lived in Rahway for a total of 34 years and in Union County for 45 years. And I'd like to applaud what Ruth has read and further state that there is a justification that has been voiced that there is development in the park already, therefore increasing that, quote-unquote, improving it, would just be an extension. And we've been asked to consider how Warnaco Park has also is redeveloping their stadium. I need to point out that Warnaco Park is several times larger than Rahway River Park. Also, that the development in Warnaco Park is on the periphery, including the existing stadium, or the stadium which was demolished, and the new stadium which is to go in. What I will call the Great Lawn, or the meadow, is untouched by that development. If you have a bird's eye view of the Rahway River Park, you do see that track. But up until recently, you couldn't see the track until you fell into it, because it was some 9 inches to a foot below the level of the grass. It has since been improved. It is now somewhat visible because new pavement has been put in. And frankly, I think that made it safer. I'm all for that. Whenever I'm in the park, I do respond to that open space. It is expansive. There's really nowhere else in the town to experience that, and that is valuable. I hope that people respond to this and understand this and what they will lose if a structure goes in that central lawn. And another point that I'd like to make, the other question I have, and I really have many questions, but I think the central question is, who asked for this? Where was the meeting and when was the meeting where the residents of Union County, and particularly Rahway and Clark, stood up and said en masse, we need artificial turf stadium for football, and please put it right in the middle and take up most of the central lawn of Rahway River Park. I missed that meeting. If the residents of Rahway and Clark did not ask for it, who asked for it?
Thank you.
John Burry, Kenilworth, and I can answer that. Now, I was at Rahway River Park first time, and it looks a little like a bigger Tamake's, a smaller Warren Ankle. It seemed like a really stupid idea to put a stadium in there, but again, wouldn't be the first stupid idea. I recall anybody who sees the Galloping Hill Clubhouse on exit 138, $25 million for for what? And they call it a super adequacy. It's a complete waste of money. The Runnels sale, that was gone through the Union County Improvement Authority. It was a disaster. I mean, you ask anybody on the ground, any of the nurses, any of the 30 who were dead, or then and the ones later, putting solar panels everywhere. $15 million in bonding, the bonds defaulted, which is incidentally why you had to sell Runnels. You had to pay off the bonds to the Union County Improvement Authority. All these things had one thing in common. There's a law firm called Dakotas Fitzpatrick. They're the general counsel for the Union County Improvement Authority, and they get about $1 million in fees. And they get those $1 million if these dumb projects continue, and they are continuing, just like this one. Now, I looked at it since 2009. About 17 or 18 lawyers, however many ever it takes, put in $30,000 to freeholder campaigns each election cycle. They put in like 1,621. They're exactly the same number. You total them up, it comes to $30,000. They skipped 2012, but 29, 10, 11, they got back to 13, 14, same $30,000. And those are the people who are asking for this. Now, to put in some context, or why did they pick Rahway? I don't know. It's a really bizarre idea, but they had to build something. But they didn't just give the $30,000 to the freeholders. If you look at the New Jersey election records, on June 3rd, 2014, Dakotas extended this practice. Actually, there were 20 lawyers instead of 16. They each gave $130 each, total $2,600, to the campaign of Sampson D. Steinman for mayor of Rahway. That same day, and just look at the election records, look up people who are employed by Dakotas and what they give you. That same day, June 3rd, 2014, those same 20 lawyers, none of them live in Rahway, none of them live in Union County. They gave $500 each, total of $10,000, to, and I don't know these names, Miles, Mojica, Baker, and Jacoby, Rahway Democrats. I don't know if they won, they probably did, but for that local campaign, that's a lot of money. So basically, they bought off the freeholder board for the $30,000, and they bought off these people, and Who asked for it? Dakotas.
Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Hi, Barbara Majeski from Rahway. My husband and I took a ride this afternoon to Avenel Middle School. And I know it's in Middlesex County, but they have a field that was well below sidewalk grade. And I called the principal up, and it was filled with at least 10 feet of soil to bring it up above street level so they could put cricket fields in. I called the parks and management, the grounds management, but unfortunately he was at a meeting, he couldn't return my call, and I told him the situation that we were having in Rahway. And my question was, if you could put 10 feet of soil to put on 2 huge cricket fields at Avenel Middle School, why can't the flood engineers raise Rahway Field and fill that with soil to bring up a field? Because we flooded in our old library, but the city didn't have a problem putting up these tennis courts and parking for people from our county or out of town to come and use those. But my question was, with Avenel, if the Middlesex County Board of Freeholders had anything to do with contributing money to that. But as I said, unfortunately, the man was at a meeting, or he just figured I was some nut calling and didn't want to respond. But if you take a ride down there, it's right past Home Depot, first traffic light, and make a left-hand turn, and you'll see that those 2 cricket fields that are now well above ground level, so the kids can use those fields. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening to elected officials and all citizens of this great county. I am Emanuel Bay, and domiciled in Plainfield territory. I'm here to speak about the role of government. And for this, we must go back to the founding of this present-day government. The Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed." It says we hold these truths to be self-evident, meaning that this is natural law. It's common. It's common law. That we are endowed with unalienable rights. What does that mean? Meaning rights that cannot be sold or transferred. Meaning we have birth rights. So what happened to our birthrights, I'm asking? Why have our birthrights been converted to privileges? We are told that driving is a privilege. Governments are instituted among men to protect these rights. Our rights, our birthrights. So I'm bringing this up to the citizens to come into this consciousness of why we form governments. We must not forget the founding of government. And of course, this document gave birth to the Constitution of the United States of America. The 7 Articles and 10 Bill of Rights. I urge all citizens to study the 7 Articles and the 10 Bill of Rights. We must go back to this form of government, a free national government. And with that, I'll just say thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, fellow freeholders, I am Erwin Lee John Twinnell. I'm domiciled in Plainfield Territory. Mr. Chairman, I am here on behalf of the public. I am here on behalf of the citizens, the real, true American citizens. Before you can be a citizen, you must be a member of your state. So I'm not going to call the people behind me residents. I'm going to call them citizens because that's what they are. So when the citizens decide to come together and raise their voice, then it has to be heard. So I hope you understand the other side of that coin. I'm here in regards to, yes, the county clerk, the elected official. And my attempt, and not just my attempt, it could be others after me now. And there's some in the mix now that's being blocked. Our rights are being stripped away. Our rights, our human rights. So when I say, Mr. Chairman, I go to my public officials and ask them to just do your job. And when they tell me that their job is bound to statutory language, then, oh my God, we're in trouble. We're all in trouble. These miscellaneous books we are talking about are a part of history. But it's time for us to tell our story. And in our story, we are intertwined with our local government. Mr. Chairman, please, I implore you, raise the questions. Where are these miscellaneous books? Who authorized them to go away? Because now there's a community that's injured for real. I don't want to be classified as a black or an African American. We do some research, and I ask the public, do some research as well, and get a clear understanding of what we are here to do. And that is to bring the truth to the public, to bring the citizens out of darkness that a lot of you corporations have established. The Free National Constitution of the Free National Republic of the United States of 1787, Article 4, Section 1. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state, and the Congress may by general laws prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings shall be proved and the effect thereof. Article 4 of the same Constitution, Section 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or of the executive against domestic violence. Domestic violence is being performed when my rights are being violated, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and fellow citizens. I'm not here to cause any confusion, and we're not here to overthrow the government, but we are here to take part and parcel of our government. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard?
Machete, New Providence. There's more than the usual number of people in the audience tonight, and I would urge anyone who wants to talk about Rahway Park Stadium, come up and say something. Sitting in the back and just listening doesn't really help. You need to talk. So I urge you to do that. It's not that embarrassing. You can say a few words, or you can say, I agree with somebody else, to show the freeholders the scope of what's going on. So please get out of your seats and say something. Thank you. At a previous meeting, I urged the freeholders to take a proactive stance in the investigation of the activities of Linda Stender and to see what you would want to do about that and her situation. She's almost on payroll for 3 months now. I would like to know the status of your investigation into her activities that have been public in the past. The second thing is, we're past the first quarter of 2015. For all the workforce programs you have, and there are probably some that are overlapping each other, this would be a good part to consolidate perhaps, is how many people have been trained in the first quarter of 2015? How many people have acquired jobs through this workforce programs, full-time and part-time, for the first quarter of this year? On a side note, a couple weeks ago, I'm trying to be part of the solution. I made Freeholder Granados aware that there was an opening or several openings in the Friendlies in New Providence. Told him how we could get people there. And he reacted very quickly to my input and said he'd pass it along to somebody else. In a few weeks now, I would hope, that the Union County people, workforce programs, could have at least found 6 people that have gone down to the New Providence Friendlies to interview or to apply for that job. I would hope I would have an answer as to what happened there. Because that's a real thing. It's not words, it's not documents, it's a real job, and you have real people who need jobs. I would like to know what happened to that specific activity. Last thing I'd like to talk about is tonight you, Freeholder Board, appointed 3 individuals to the Union County College Board of Trustees. And my questions are, what is the criteria that needs to be met for someone to be appointed to that activity? What responsibility do they have to you as freeholders and to the citizens of Union County? And is there an interview process to select the ideal candidates for those positions? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Good evening. Kelly Tropiano, Clark. I represent the Coalition to Save Rahway Park. I have a couple of questions regarding the updated statement that was provided for tonight's meeting. You say that this project is not a full stadium. I'm guessing because the amount of seats that have been reduced, you consider it's not a stadium. Well, I'd like to know your definition of a stadium, because the only thing this is missing is a dome. So that's question number one. The other question I have is regarding construction of new parking spaces. If in fact this stadium or not stadium is built and there's 1,200 seats, where do you expect all the vehicles that belong to those seats go to park if no new parking is being constructed, which is, I think, being said so that the people don't feel like their park is being destroyed and that open space is not being paved over. However, there are only 400 spaces in that park. So if we're not building new spaces and we have seating for 1,200, where do those vehicles go once you reach the maximum of 400 spots that currently exist? I also would like to know if and when the Freeholder Board is going to hold their forum meeting. They agreed to have, the last time I attended a Freeholder meeting, we discussed, or was stated, that the freeholders would like to have an open forum meeting with the citizens so all these things could be discussed and explained in more depth. And as of now, I don't know if that meeting has been scheduled. I don't know how I would be notified of it, but I'm hoping there would be some sort of mailing or information provided to people who are concerned. So if and when that meeting is scheduled, I would like to be notified. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Hi, my name's Albert Kaliba. I'm from Linden. I just wanted to talk about the Rahway River Park destruction. I agree with most of the previous comments made by people here from the coalition, and I just wanted to add that 3 days ago there was an Associated Press article stating that a House committee in Minnesota is devoting $50,000 to a study on the safety of artificial turf. There's concerns that the crumb pellets used in artificial turf, the bits of recycled tire pieces used to construct this, may cause forms of blood cancer and bone cancer. And I just wanted to know if the committee was aware of this. Thank you.
You. Anyone else wishing to be heard?
Clark. I was in the park on Sunday night, and I was measuring the existing track. While I went out there, there was a group, a family basically, of little kids, teenagers, grandparents, parents, and they were playing soccer on the field, having a great time. And, I looked at them and I realized that when this turf field goes in, they won't be there anymore. They won't be allowed on that field. I'm going to get to that, but I wanted to say something about this issue of an upgrade. When I measured that track, which is a 6-lane track, it measures 230 feet across and 450 feet long. If you take the stadium drawings that were prepared, I guess, by Neglia, and you scale this off, this complex is 350 feet wide and 650 feet long. And we've taken that scale and we've set it on top of the map of the park. And what you can see is that this stadium, and that's what it is, crushes one of the baseball fields completely. And but this layout, we don't have any idea of what kind of access roads you're going to prepare, because when you have a football game, you got to have ambulances nearby, you have to have EMT availability. None of that shows. So this is huge. And to talk about the turf issue, I have something that I'd like to read. A multi-purpose park or field is supposed to accommodate a whole range of human activity, from hosting sporting events to walking to exercising your pooch, from sunbathing, picnicking under starlit skies, or just viewing the passing of the seasons. The conversion of multi-purpose fields and parks to artificial turf multi-sport playing fields reserves under lock and key the use of public lands to a certain defined and limited set of activities at certain times. Moreover, the protection of the artificial surface, more demanding than a Persian silk carpet, limited a variety of objects and activities on the premises, such as chewing gum, seeds, animals, vehicular traffic, certain beverages, folding chairs, footwear. Most artificial turf field complexes come with fences. Typically, the use of, and of course this one does, it's going to be surrounded by a 6-foot chain link fence according to specifications. The use of the field is regulated through a permitting process, and unauthorized people in the field are subject to arrest for trespass. In many communities, the so-called non-profit sport leagues and boosters defray all or a substantial part of the cost of installing, maintaining, or replacing of the turf fields in an arrangement that the city or town officials like to call a public-private partnership. Of course, in this case, we have a public-public partnership. It's a partnership, all right. The use of public lands and some of the public treasure is ponying up in favor of a gated eco-desert rug with limited use and questionable appeal. I've taken screenshots off of the internet of warning signs that are on turf fields all around the country. This one reads, "The town of Westport encourages all those using artificial turf fields to observe the following recommendations. 1. Wash hands and expose body aggressively after playing on the fields. 2. Turn clothes inside out as soon as possible to avoid tracking dust to other locations. 3. Keep beverages closed and in bags and coolers when not drinking to avoid excessive dust and fibers from getting into the beverage. Eating on the field is prohibited. Here's another one. No metal cleats, gum, Gatorade, trash, cigarettes, pets on the turf field. Water only on the field. Organized by use by permit only. No trespassing by unauthorized persons. Here's another one. Field for use by permit only. Police take notice. Per order, Waltham Parks Recreation Department. Here's another one. Prohibited. Food, candy, peanuts, sunflower seeds or gum, tobacco products of any kind, glass and metal containers, tables, unapproved chairs, barbecue grills, sport drinks, soda, coffee, beverages other than water, including Gatorade is banned. Sharp objects such as tent stakes, corner flags, objects that would penetrate the artificial surface, bicycles, skates, scooters, skateboards, golfing, javelin, metal cleats or marking of lines, dog, pets, or other animals. And to finish up, if you don't mind, just another moment.
Your time is over. Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. Hi, my name is Ronnie Armstrong. I'm from Union County Juvenile Detention Center. I've been working at the detention center for 24 plus years, and we have a lot of concerns that's been going on with the transaction with Hudson County and Union County. I have two of my co-workers here.
Melissa McCoy, I live in Roselle.
Alicia LaPierre, I live in Elizabeth.
And like I said, I'm Ronnie Armstrong. I live in Piscataway. I was raised and born in Plainfield, playing for high school. But I was allowed to move out the county, you know, once I was here for so many years. Our concerns is that a lot of our officers have been hurt, and we wonder what the planning of the merging of the two counties were properly planned, that we will have enough staff to handle what's going on at the detention center. I'm here to go on record to support. You gotta excuse me, it's first time big audience. Just here to go on record to ask for some type of proactive investigation to bring the newspaper articles. The Star Ledger said we were going to bring 20 kids from Hudson County to Union County. We got over 30 kids from Hudson County. We didn't have any additional staff, and we were already short-staffed with the Union County. We have over 10 people who are on OJI, who's on-the-job injury. We're being attacked every day. We're looking for help, and I just want to go on record. A lot of our co-workers are forced to work doubles.
Every single day that we go into work, we're forced to work 16-hour shifts.
There are a lot of officers that are parents, that are wives, husbands, and it's sad that we're hurt going home. We don't end up coming home the same way that we leave. We are so short-staffed that we live there. It's like we live there. You go home, your kids are asleep. You leave in the morning, your kids are asleep. There are officers who are afraid to come to work, and we don't know what to do. We don't know who to talk to. It's like no one cares.
Thank you. We'll look into that for you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing no one, I will close. Absolutely, by all means.
Good evening, Chairman Jalla, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce, Patterson, Garwood. I wanted to hear more people talk about the Rahway, because, I mean, it sounds like there's a large concerted voice, and hopefully you people will be listening. A couple items. I was going to talk about the budget. I'll save that for a little while, but a couple items is, you actually did say I only heard one question when I was talking about the resolutions. There was another question, and it was $25,000, the T&M for open space, on-call open space. And I said, how come we have an open space trust fund and you're not using the trust fund monies? Something tells me that's illegal. You should be using that $25,000 out of the trust fund. Boom, there's a savings, $25,000 to the budget. How about that? You know, a couple of years ago, there was that one for $450,000 for a house that you were buying from the operating budget of the county, and that should have come from the Open Space Trust Fund, because that was part and parcel of the Ponderosa area, which is a park in Scotch Plains. So, I mean, you know, that was $400,000 you could have saved back then. Resolution 301, that was the budget, introducing of the budget, and I heard, and I was asking questions all these other times about, can Freeholder Marabella vote on the budget? And so here we have 301, and he actually voted yes on the resolution. So I think I got my answer. However, I'm asking through you, Chair Jala, I want to hear it from Council Barry that Freeholder Marabella is allowed to vote on the budget, because he has a conflict of interest. The county budget has all this money for the various towns, one of them being Scotch Plains, and he's the business administrator of Scotch Plains, receiving the money. So he's voting on giving the money to himself. I want to hear this from Council Barry. And none of this no comment. I mean, you know, the little stones in my shoe can say no comment. That's the same thing. And I'll get the same answer. So, I mean, I'm really asking this time. I want to hear it, a legal opinion that Marabella can vote on the budget. Okay, so let's talk about the budget. I mean, you know, I heard the statements. I wrote a letter to the Westfield Leader calling you all knuckleheads because you guys have no financial experience. I mean, you know, I've used stronger language than that, but, you know, knuckleheads is in the media. So anyway, but one thing is, people were talking about criteria of people being appointed to boards. I would like Hudak, at the end of my statement, I would like him to actually explain what is his financial expertise to be sitting on a $500 million budget. Because right now, as I see it, he has no expertise whatsoever. Talking about the budget. Okay, here we go. You know, this is Hudak's statement. He says we have a 2.5% tax increase, lowest in a decade. Wrong. I've brought this up before. Runnels Hospital was sold. You were funding it with $13 million of tax monies. You sold the hospital. That $13 million goes directly to the bottom line of the county as tax relief. And yet you're increasing the taxes by $6 million, which is the 2.5%. It's actually 8%. Do you understand what I'm saying? You were chair, finance chair last year, right? Do you understand the $13 million from Runnels that you were in the operating budget is now a savings, and so that $13 million goes to the bottom line? Do you understand that, Freeholder Jolly? Because you made the statement about a lowest tax increase also. I thought so. It's kind of like just blank looks. This is what happens. You know, it's like when Bibby Taylor talks. Everybody just kind of glazes over. Okay, but anyway, an exceptional matching grant. And that's at least something. We're getting something back from the Runnels sale, $1.5 million, which is good. But unfortunately, I remember numbers of $4 million from the sale. And Hudak again stated, we are putting it in for future years. I look at the contingency. He mentioned contingency, I think, and I'm looking at the surplus. The surplus didn't change. So if there's $1.5 million now given out as grants from the sale of the Runnels, and you guys said about $4 million was a profit, where is this $2.5 million? Where is it? I'm looking at the budget. I want somebody to answer where it is.
You refuse to yield your time?
My time?
Are you refusing to yield your time? Thank you.
Oh, I have to yield my time.
Thank you very kindly.
But I would like answers. Council Barry and the budget Runnels number.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
May I ask anyone else who wishes to speak? Come forward, please.
I'm Stan Majeski. I'm from Rahway, New Jersey. I'd like to talk about the park, about the turf, and these here articles we have about them. And there's quite a few of them here, and especially one here is from North Arlington, New Jersey. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection denies permit for artificial turf field due close to Passaic rivers due to flooding concerns. That's one of them, okay? And we have quite a few of them here, and one's from Windham, New Hampshire. Voters reject funding for artificial turf field, April 2015.
South Pasadena, California, council votes against synthetic grass and city parkways. Water conservative would not compensate for cultural environmental issues. We got from Denver, Colorado, one from Toronto, Canada, 2 more professional fields converting to natural grass, March 2015. Bronxville, New York, thumbs down on our artificial turf. Hohokus, New Jersey, thumbs down on artificial turf, 2015, January. Clinton, Connecticut, voters overwhelmingly reject artificial turf pond, 2015. 2 communities in Jersey, Glen Rock, Glen Ridge, 2 in Maine, Gray and New Gloucester, and Illinois reject funding for artificial turf, November 2014. Ocean City, New Jersey, in a view of a concern over crumb rubber infill city nixes conversion of natural grass field to artificial, November 2014. West Deptford, New Jersey, voters reject artificial turf, October 2014. South Bend, Indiana, artificial turf field to be replaced with natural grass, September 2014. Little Silver, New Jersey, Sickles Fan Park will remain grass for now, August 2014. Murphy City, Texas, no more residential artificial turf in plain public site. What we're hearing about this artificial turf is really, really terrible. Even in Hawaii, county officials say maintaining grass fields is more cost-effective than installing artificial turf. The scrap plans for artificial turf. Natural grass rolls on St. Clementine's Landmark Culture Center at Casamrumuna, I guess it's California, and San Clemente, California, no to artificial turf historic site. Remember, historic site, Rahway Park. Olin, New York, natural grass to replace asphalt, not asphalt turf, February 2014. What's that saying to you guys? Come on.
Thank you.
It's plain as day. It ain't no good. Thank you very much.
kindly. Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing no one, I'll close that portion of the meeting. On to freeholder comments and reports. We'll start with Freeholder Hudak.
No comments tonight, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Granados.
Yes, I just want to make a comment in reference to Pat Machete, in reference to your email that you sent me, which I greatly do appreciate, helping out residents and finding employment. That information was passed along to our Workforce Investment Board Director. I can get a follow-up for you and then send the information on to you. That's not a problem, but I do appreciate the information. Also, this Sunday there's going to be a charity basketball game at King University through the law enforcement agency, in which they're going to try to raise funds for college scholarships. So anybody who's interested in attending, please contact 908-219-9109. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Freeholder Wright.
No comments.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank Mr. Ravenel Williams and Debbie Morgan and Ms. Flores Tober for coming and speaking about the human services related resolutions that we passed tonight. The Ryan White funds for people with AIDS, the funding for the Legal Services of New Jersey, the funding for the homeless, for a shelter through during Code Blue times. These are all things that we as county officials have been doing for quite some time. It's, as Ms. Flores Topes said, it's when we stand up for people who are the most vulnerable, and it's an important part of what we do here at Union County. I'm very proud to be part of that, and I know my colleagues are as well. And I appreciate our human services partners from nonprofit organizations coming and reporting to us. So, thank you, Chairman. That's it for me.
Thank you. Freeholder Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. Our annual Union County Women Means Business Summit is coming up next month on Wednesday, May 13th, and it will be held at the Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth. If you own or manage a business here in Union County, if you're a woman that manages the business or own that business, we're really encouraging you to join us that day. We have a lot of great excitement. It truly, last 2 years have proven to be a true success. Last year, we had an attendance at top 200 individuals that came out, networked, shared, and were also able to get some really great tools they needed to help move their businesses and help encourage their business, and some even start businesses. The summit is designed to help equip you with the vital skills and help you to grow your business and to grow your network. This year's summit includes a full slate of workshops that covers critical topics for success in today's business world, including leadership and public speaking, networking via social media, and negotiating. Our featured speaker will be Christina Hahn, who is head of the packaging consumer goods of Google. And we're excited to have her there as our keynote speaker, and I think that she'll bring a lot to the table and some of the tools that, we all need to really help our business grow. And we do need to make sure that we have the foundations and networking opportunities here for all of our businesses. If you'd like to register, you can go to online and visit us at ucnj2.org/UCMB. Again, that's ucnj2.org/UCMB. Thank you. And that's all I have tonight, Chairman.
Freeholder Carter, Freeholder Serrata,
No reports this evening, sir.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to speak a little bit on our Union County teens and some of the efforts that they're undertaking in 2015. Almost 200 Union County teens have banded together to help students in need this spring. And I'd like to encourage residents here and who could be watching this on television to join them. These young people created their own community service program called Donate to Educate, while participating in the second annual UC STEP Youth Development Summit last year. This program follows last year's successful Support for Soldiers, where our students around Union County gathered supplies to send overseas to our soldiers. And this is a program for our schools. And this spring, they've been hard at work helping to secure Union County students with supplies and need for a successful school year. In addition to collecting supplies for donation, they've been raising funds by selling stylus pens, earbuds, and wristbands. You can join in by dropping off school supplies at a collection box or making a financial donation. For more information about UC STEP and Donate to Educate, please visit the county's website at ucnj.org. It's a terrific program, and I'm really happy to see the students come together creating their own program and helping fellow students around Union County. I'm happy to see the introduction of this 2015 budget. I congratulate Fiscal Chairman Hudak for his efforts leading the discussion on the budget development. And I look forward to additional public comment and adoption down the road. I do want to comment that on our agenda this year, this week, there's two resolutions of condolences for who I consider two Union County legends and former mayors of our communities. One, former Scotch Plains Mayor Mauro Cecchio, who is not only a personal friend of mine to Scotch Plains, but to many sitting on this dais and around Union County. Mauro was a gentleman who was happy to share his experience and his thoughts with the county leadership and with people that were just walking down the street. And he was a great guy and he'll be missed terribly. The second gentleman was a former mayor of Roselle Park, Gene Carmody. And Gene was not only a terrific mayor, but a longtime member of the Union County College Board of Trustees, where he made significant contributions for likely 20 years or more. And both of these gentlemen passed within about a 2-week span, and they will be greatly missed by me personally and by the Union County family. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Vice Chairman Bergen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity to tell the public about a fundraising event that's coming up on Sunday, April 19th at Warren Park. It's called Race for the Children. This is a 5K run and a 2-mile fun walk, and the proceeds go to benefit the Union County Child Advocacy Center. For those of you who haven't heard of it, the Advocacy Center is a legacy of our late prosecutor, Andrew K. Rotolo. Its purpose is to provide children with a supportive, stable environment in which to cope with the aftermath of abuse and to begin the process of recovery. Since it opened on West Jersey Street in 2012, the Advocacy Center has provided services to more than 1,100 people every year. On behalf of the board, I'd like to wish our acting prosecutor, Grace Park, her staff, and the Friends of the Child Advocacy Center best wishes for a successful fundraiser. If you'd like to join in this worthy cause, there's still time to register. Go to website, it's eventbrite.com, eventbrite.com. Look up Race for the Children, and you can sign up for that race. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's nothing else.
Thank you. County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No comment.
County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two comments. One, just like to briefly mention one of the speakers with regard to the uses of not just Rahway Field, but all of our county fields. We do have a permit process both for fields and practices, but our fields are available at all other times for the enjoyment of all our county residents. And very often they are not utilized for specific games or practices, so that will continue. Second of all, I'd like to thank the individuals who came and spoke at the meeting who work at the Juvenile Detention Facility. We care very much about our employees. Director Guzzo has been out there virtually every day. I've been out there a couple times, and I'm in daily contact with Diana Yost, who is in charge of the facility out there. Also, we've been successful in the last couple of days in reaching an agreement with Hudson County to do an intergovernmental transfer, so that should help us in our staffing issues to some degree. We appreciate the work that's being done out there, and we're monitoring it very carefully, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. County Council, we have a need to go into executive session.
Yes, sir.
Please make your statement relative to same.
Sure. Pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public body may go into executive session for the purpose of discussing certain enumerated subjects. This board now wishes to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing attorney-client privilege communication and potential contract negotiations with various municipalities and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers relative to the planned flood mitigation project. The minutes of the executive session shall be separated from the minutes of the open public session. The minutes of the executive session, redacted as appropriate and necessary, shall be available in approximately 30 days. Clerk to the board shall retain the original minutes until such time as the confidential limitations have been removed, at which time they shall be made available. Upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present, the board may retire to executive session. Upon the board's return, it will not take any formal action on the matters discussed.
Thank you. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Granados. Clerk of the board, may I have a roll call?
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Aye.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye. We're in
Chairman, you have
executive.
9 votes in the
I have a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Carter, seconded by Freeholder Granados. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I have to take a roll call, right? Clerk of the board, may I take a roll call?
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Granados.
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
No.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bergen.
Aye.
And Chairman Jallo.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative with 1 negative.
Thank you. The ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
County Manager, County Council, is there any statement that needs to be made relative to the executive session?
No statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Carter, seconded by Freeholder Hudak. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
No.